Hi, if you're here to hear stories about the magic and the monsters, the gods and the goddesses, the heroes and the heroines of the ancient Near East, then you're in the right place. Our story today comes from Mesopotamia, and it's about Gilgamesh and his search for the secret to eternal life. Now, Gilgamesh was king of a place called Uruk. He was also an adventurer, a hero, an explorer. He was also the most handsome, the bravest, the most intelligent, the most good looking man who has ever lived and who will ever live. Now, when you are that awesome, very often you have a bit of an attitude, which was definitely the case with Gilgamesh. So he went on all kinds of crazy adventures. He did all kinds of amazing things. But then on one adventure, he unfortunately lost his best friend. Now, this was really hard on Gilgamesh, not only because he missed his friend, but because for the first time, he really thought about his own life and his own mortality and the fact that he wasn't going to live forever. Well, that just didn't work for him. So he decided he would go and find the only two humans on the planet who were going to live forever. Those two humans were Utnapishtim and his wife. So, a bit of a backstory here. Years and years before, the gods had sent a great flood that destroyed all life on the planet, all humans and all animals. But one man, Utnapishtim, heard about what was going to happen, and he built a boat, a giant boat. And him and his wife and what they called seeds of all the animals in the world, he put them all in the boat, and they survived. They survived the flood in the boat. Well, after the flood, and after the waters had subsided, the gods gave Utnapishtim and his wife immortality. Though no, at the time of our story, though they were no longer living on Earth, in our world, they were living in another world. So for Gilgamesh to get to them was going to be quite a journey. He had to travel right across the world. And along the way, he encountered many dangerous animals and creatures, and he had to fight them off. But fighting and being heroic is what Gilgamesh was good at, or one of the things he was good at. So he made his way through to the portal that led to the land where Utnapishtim and his wife lived. So he went through the tunnel. That was the portal, out the other side, and what does he see? Not Utnapishtim. He sees a huge lake, and Utnapishtim and his wife are living on the other side of the lake, which would be cool, but the water of the lake is waters of death. Any of the water touches you, you die. He does, however, spot a ferryman who has a boat who will be able to take him safely across the waters of death. What he also spots is a number of stone giants around the ferryman. So, Gilgamesh, being Gilgamesh, and having that little bit of attitude, says nothing. He just flies out there with his sword, and he kills the giants. He kills all the stone giants. After he's done that, the ferryman looks at him and says, "Dude, they weren't giants. These were sacred stones, and these stones were going to help you get across the river safely. What do we do now?" Well, what they had to do was that Gilgamesh had to cut down 120 trees, turn them into long poles that they could use to push themselves on the boat across the water. The reason they needed so many is because the water was so dangerous, you could only use every pole once. So after all of that, Gilgamesh eventually gets to Utnapishtim and he says, please, you have to give me the secret to eternal life. I need to live forever. And Utnapishtim says, no, no, go back to where you came from. Because when people are this obsessed about not dying, when all people can think about is how long they'll be alive and how they can be alive longer and what is going to happen when they die, all the sweetness and all the joy is just sucked out of life. He says, go back and just enjoy your life. But of course, Gilgamesh is not happy with this answer. And he begs him and begs him and begs him to tell him how to have eternal life. Eventually, Utnapishtim gives him two tasks and says, if you pass this task, and then if you pass this task, I'll give you the secret. But he fails both tasks, and he is sent home. Big anticlimax. He goes back to rule in Uruk um, until the normal span of his life. But we do know that he in fact did have a very, very incredible life. He made the most. He made the most of the years that he had here. And how do we know that? Because we have so many poems and stories that are over 4,000 years old telling us about all the things he got up to. And because 4,000 years later, here you are with me, listening to those stories. Well, thank you for listening. And to all the history buffs and ancient Near Eastern scholars, yes, I did change the story to make it suitable for kids. And the point of this is not to be a history lesson, it's to get kids excited about the ancient Near East in the same way that we are excited. So thanks again. Thanks for watching.